I'm Scarlett, a 37-year-old, childless, working housewife. Today is our 5th wedding anniversary, and also my husband Everett's birthday, who is the same age as me. Everett is a handsome salesman at a famous company and seems to be quite successful, but he often works late and entertains clients, so we don't see each other much. Our wedding was a simple weekday ceremony with family and a few friends, as we both had weekend jobs and struggled to find a common schedule. Everett strongly wanted it this way. So, for our anniversary and his birthday, I asked him to come home early. I took a half day off from work. I bought his favorite Wagyu steak, wine, and cake at a department store and set a stylish table. I waited for Everett to come home. However, despite my insistence on coming home early, he didn't return. I received a single email saying he had urgent work and would stay at the office. Disappointed, but understanding it was work, I cleaned up the dinner and went to bed, feeling a little doubtful since he had said he wasn't that busy. The next morning, I went to work as usual, and my messages to his phone went unread. No response to my calls either. Worried, I called his office and was shocked to learn he had resigned the day before and apparently found a job in a neighboring prefecture. I hadn't heard a word about this. I rushed home and saw his shoes at the entrance. I burst into his room to find him packing his belongings in a suitcase. "What's going on?" In my surprise, I opened my eyes wide and asked him that, and he said, "What, you already found out?" while clicking his tongue and handing over the divorce papers. "What's going on?" With cold eyes, he repeated my question and said, "Let's get a divorce." "Why? What for?" "I'm fed up with you not fulfilling your role as a wife. You prioritize work, don't cook, do laundry once a week, and the room is dusty. I don't need a wife like that." "Wait a minute. For the past 2 years, I made dinner and waited, but you always said you had eaten and didn't eat it. That's why I stopped cooking." "Still, it's a wife's duty to cook and wait. Besides, your cooking is terrible, so I started eating out." At the beginning of our marriage, he used to say my cooking was great. I shuddered at his cold voice and argued that we had agreed when we got married that I would do the laundry and cleaning on my days off, Wednesdays and Thursdays. But he just rolled his eyes and said, "So, I should put up with a dirty room from Friday to Tuesday? That's a joke." "What happened to you all of a sudden?" "I never thought you wouldn't quit your job even after 5 years of marriage. When I got a job offer, I thought it was a good opportunity." "A good opportunity to divorce?" Everett never complained about my work or housekeeping, and there was no sign of him wanting a divorce. "Well, you never noticed how dissatisfied I was. I don't need a wife like that. I rented an apartment near my new job, so I won't be coming back to this room." With that, he pushed me aside, standing in front of the door, and left the house with his suitcase. I stood there dumbfounded, unable to comprehend what had happened. A week later, I attended a high school reunion. I wasn't in the mood to go, but I had already paid the membership fee, and I hadn't been able to contact Everett since then. I was feeling frustrated every day, so I thought it might be a good change of pace. When I went, there were divorced and single mothers among my classmates, and everyone was living strong lives. Until then, I had only hoped for an improvement in my relationship with Everett. But when I thought about it, if we reconciled, I would have to follow him to his new job location. If that were the case, it would be impossible to stay at my current job considering the daily commute, even though it's just in the neighboring prefecture. On the other hand, after working for 17 years since graduating from junior college and receiving a decent salary, it would be almost impossible to earn the same income in the new location. Everett had completely rejected me, and I began to think maybe I should give up. What made it definitive was a phone call from Everett urging me to move. We had been living in a rented apartment, and Everett was a tenant. The lease renewal period was approaching, and it seemed the real estate agent had contacted Everett. "I told them we'd move out in a month, so get rid of everything by then." "I'm still living here. And you didn't consult me at all, I complained, to which he replied, I'm the one renting it. I don't need to consult you, in a combative tone. I realized that it was really hopeless and said, Fine, I'll clean up my stuff this weekend or next weekend. Get rid of not just your stuff, but also everything left in my room and the furniture. What? I was ticked off when I heard that. What are you talking about? This room was originally rented by you when you were single, and most of the furniture has been used since then. Most of the other furniture and appliances were bought with your credit card. I'll dispose of the furniture and appliances I mainly used, but naturally, you're responsible for disposing of the rest and covering the disposal costs. When I replied, he hung up. What a stingy man, taking only his precious belongings and leaving all the cleanup to me. This made me determined to divorce him. Over the weekend, I sorted out the closet, reminiscing about the happy times we'd had since we got married. There were many things belonging to both me and Everett. Among them, I found his high school graduation album. Come to think of it, all the friends Everett introduced me to were from after college. I absent-mindedly flipped through his graduation album. That's when I noticed something unexpected. I submitted the divorce papers and reported it to Everett by email. A week later, in the evening, I received a reply from Everett with a picture, which was a marriage registration form for him and a woman. I was astonished and stared at it when he called me. Did you see it? What does this mean? It's exactly what it looks like. I just had a wedding ceremony and remarried that woman. You're kidding. She's super beautiful, rich, and has a great personality. She asked me to marry her as soon as we divorced. This is proof. Isn't it amazing? So you were cheating on me while we were married? I'm popular, unlike you, who only has your job going for you. Oh, by the way, her father built us a house on their property, and I transferred to her hometown with his help. It's a mid-sized company, but I'm an executive. Everett must have really wanted to brag about remarrying his rich affair partner, but as he nonchalantly answered, a strong anger rose within me. He said there was a problem with me and divorced me, but it was actually to remarry his affair partner. He said they had been dating for over 2 years. They met at a pub with his coworkers, and she was one of 4 women sitting at the next table. Apparently, when Everett spilled his drink on his clothes, she wiped it off, and that's how they started talking. Man, she's the same age as you and me, but she's super beautiful and looks like she's 10 years younger. She quickly wiped my clothes with a pretty handkerchief. According to Everett, when he took her to a restaurant to thank her, he learned she was a landowner's daughter. She had an arranged marriage at her parents' suggestion, but was troubled by her husband's infidelity. After saying, I need to fix my bad parts, she's totally different from you, I was instantly attracted to her, he said, and then aggressively pursued her. She started dating Everett without divorcing her husband. Isn't it normal to question the woman who dates 2 men while trying to be devoted to her husband? But Everett, blinded by love, didn't notice. A woman who doesn't support her man is no good. You prioritize work and don't care about your husband. You're not right for me. Huh? You can't stand on your own, so you want me to support you? I couldn't help but yell at him, and Everett seemed annoyed as well, saying, I'm so glad I'm finally free from a woman like you. Stella is the best after all. Stella? Is that her name? Yeah, it's written with the characters for double and flower, like the double cherry blossoms. She was born when the double cherry blossoms were in full bloom. Her parents have a great naming sense. They are true celebrities. As I listened to Everett's voice, enchanted with her unique name, I remembered something. Did you really marry such a wonderful woman? You're not lying? Pretending to say this, Everett's pride was hurt. She's the best wife with a great family background and personality. Look at her elegant beauty. As I expected, he sent me a picture of the 2 of them at their wedding. No doubt, it's her. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. What's so funny? This is proof that we really got married. Sure, it's real. I can't help but laugh, unable to say anything more. Hey, stop laughing. We really got married, and there's a baby in her belly. What? No way. I can't stop laughing. I get it. Losing me must have made you go crazy. Everett interprets my laughter in a way that benefits him and says dreamily, in 3 months, we'll have a baby girl. She'll definitely be as beautiful as Stella. Well, even if she looks like you instead, she'll still be beautiful. Everett has a sweet, idol-like handsome face. For some reason, he gets a little flustered and says, no, she doesn't need to look like me. Hearing that, I burst out laughing again. Everett says, go crazy on your own, goodbye, and hangs up the phone. Eventually, he'll find out why I was laughing. I can't wait for that day. Afterward, we had some disputes over alimony and property division, but I managed to get millions of dollars from Everett through a lawyer. Everett agreed to pay alimony for his share, not wanting to cause her emotional distress during her pregnancy. 2 years passed without any contact, and then I finally received a heartbreaking email. Please, Scarlett, I beg you, please listen to me. Reluctantly, I answered the phone call that came right after the email. As expected, it was about the child born between him and Stella. Well, kids tend to look like their parents, right? Of course! Who else would they look like? Yeah. Apparently, the baby girl doesn't look like the beautiful Stella at all. I tried saying, she's only 2 years old, right? She'll change a lot as she grows. But he couldn't be convinced, thinking it's strange that there's no resemblance at all. Well, I guess that makes sense. When I asked, holding back laughter, doesn't baby look like you? He suddenly panicked and said loudly, no, she doesn't, but it's okay. It's okay that she doesn't look like me. He secretly did a DNA test to check for Stella's infidelity, but the results confirmed that both Everett and Stella were undoubtedly the child's parents. So there's no doubt that she's your child. Everett wouldn't let the conversation end there. Hey, when I told you 2 years ago that Stella was pregnant, you laughed a lot. Do you know something? Wow, he remembered that. Well, yeah. Actually, Stella and I went to the same high school and were in the same grade. We were never in the same class during those 3 years, so I didn't know much about her, but I remember her being the daughter of a landlord and having a haughty, bad personality. At a class reunion about 2 years ago, the topic of Stella and her plastic surgery came up. Stella, with her single eyelids, small eyes, button nose, and slight overbite, was self-conscious about her looks and apparently underwent several procedures at a famous cosmetic surgery clinic in New York after high school. She didn't attend the reunion, so I couldn't see her face, but a friend later sent me before and after pictures of her. American cosmetic surgery is amazing. When I told Everett about this, he didn't believe me at first, but then realized that he'd never seen any childhood or graduation album photos of her. Was I deceived? Damn it! Stella acted all meek while we were dating, but it turns out she cheated on me multiple times and got divorced. She's been sued for alimony by several of her ex-husband's wives. I'm going to confront her. Maybe you shouldn't. Huh? Why not? Well, the child doesn't look like you either, right? Usually, girls are said to resemble their fathers. When I said that, Everett was at a loss for words. She can't look like you. You've had plastic surgery too. How did you? When I moved out of the apartment we lived in 2 years ago, I found your high school graduation album. You looked like a completely different person, so I was shocked. After seeing that album, I understood why he never introduced me to his college friends, insisted on having a modest wedding, and only invited a few colleagues from work. Everett probably had plastic surgery while he was in college and was afraid of being exposed by his friends at the time. I don't think there's anything wrong with plastic surgery, but you have to consider that your child might look like your original face. What should I do? What do you mean, what should you do? Just be a normal father. The results showed that the child is definitely yours. With that, I hung up the phone and blocked his number and email address. He's such a narrow-minded man, just because the child's face isn't what he wanted. A year later, a friend with a child the same age as Everett's showed me a picture of her child entering kindergarten, and the child was adorable. The child simply didn't resemble the current Stella or Everett. But according to my friend who became friends with Stella, Stella also expected her child to look like Everett after his surgery. My friend has to listen to her complain almost daily, saying I shouldn't have given birth to such a child. Seriously, they're the worst couple ever. And it seems Everett cheated again, so my friend even got divorce advice from Stella. Everett is such an idiot. If he ends up divorcing Stella, he'll have to pay alimony and child support. Plus, since Stella is a rich lady, there's no telling how much money she could get if she hires a skilled lawyer. Furthermore, according to my friend who became friends with Stella, even the local kids know about her plastic surgery, and her daughter is being excluded at kindergarten, being told, "Your mom is actually ugly." It's a relief that Stella's parents seem to love their granddaughter, but it's really sad for the child. Well, it's none of my business anyway. As for me, I managed to rent an apartment in a convenient location for commuting. Now that the distance is shorter, I can do cleaning and laundry after I get home, and I can spend my days off entirely on my own interests. I've deepened my friendship with a divorced classmate, whom I met again at the reunion, and I'm enjoying a leisurely and fun life.
I'm sorry for being insensitive the other day. That's what Eliza, who's usually sarcastic, said to me as she bowed her head. For all I know, maybe Eliza was genuinely apologizing this time, reflecting on her past behavior. I let my guard down because of her apology. Little did I know that a police-involved incident was about to unfold. My name is Lisa. I've been working as a daycare teacher, a dream job, since my childhood. My husband Jace and I have been married for 3 years now. As we are enjoying a lazy day off, a call came in from my mother-in-law, Eliza. "You should come visit us soon. You haven't been home for 6 months." Upon hearing Eliza's voice, Jace made a face of annoyance. Though my in-laws' house is just a 30-minute drive away, Jace never seems eager to visit Eliza. He's always been put off by his mother's excessive meddling and maintains some distance. Eliza has always thrown jabs at me, ever since we got married, as if blaming me for taking away her only son. Though I find Eliza difficult, I have no choice but to go when called. The last time she told us to visit and we didn't, she showed up at our house unannounced. To avoid that hassle, it's better to go see her before she takes matters into her own hands. Sure enough, upon visiting for the first time in 6 months, the sarcastic comments started flying. Every time I visit, I feel stressed, being pestered about not having children yet. "You can't have kids because you're busy working. A woman should stay home." My father-in-law, Derek, a retired middle school teacher, often had to work on weekends due to his hectic schedule. Housewife Eliza always boasted, "I raised Jace all by myself. We can't make ends meet on my salary alone." Jace immediately encountered Eliza's snide remark. I want to work because being a daycare teacher was my dream, especially this year as I'm in charge of the seniors. I want to see them through to graduation. I explained that we're not planning to have kids yet, but that just led to more insults. "I was against your marriage from the start. What good does a daycare teacher do for society? You're just playing with kids all day, aren't you?" I was angry at being accused of just playing, but I let it slide with a wry smile. I can't let every one of Eliza's words get to me. Once she started her insults, there was no stopping her. "These days, mothers are terrible for leaving their kids so young. I wonder if it's mostly single moms or poor families." Eliza let out an exaggerated sigh. I can handle her criticizing me for not having a job or kids, but I can't keep my emotions in check when it comes to her prejudices against parents. Look, parents are struggling every day to balance work and raising their kids. What you've done, spending so much time with your children, is commendable. But not every family can afford to have a stay-at-home parent. So stop making such comments. "How dare you argue with me when you can't even have children?" Eliza retorted. As Eliza and I glared at each other, Derek finally spoke up. "Eliza, you're out of line. Watch your words." I was surprised that Derek came to my defense. He's a man of few words, and usually stays quiet when we visit. Apparently, Eliza doesn't realize she's being offensive. "What's wrong with speaking the truth? Children who are left in daycare probably won't turn out well," she continued. Ignoring Derek's warning, Eliza reiterated her prejudiced views. Angry at her comments, Jace started to hastily get ready to leave. "Enough is enough. Lisa, let's go. Eliza wanted to stop her son, but Jace was already heading for the door without looking back. He's become so cold to me since he got married. Eliza became hysterical, perhaps because her son was being cold to her. She blames me, but Jace's cold behavior isn't new. Ever since he moved out, he began questioning Eliza's excessive interference. I was shocked to learn she'd go into his apartment with her own key and read all his mail. "What are you standing there for? Go get Jace right now," she commanded. Jace, who had already left the house, was ordered to be called back. Feeling irritated, wondering why I had to be given orders in the first place. It's sad, isn't it? You were always around, yet you're disliked. You mistake it for love, but it's just excessive interference. Thank you for showing me how not to raise a child. I snapped. I knew we wouldn't see each other for a while, so I let it all out. I was also angry about her terrible comments about daycare parents. I felt a sense of relief getting that off my chest. Her face turned red with rage. "You'll see. I'll kick a nasty woman like you out of my house." Eliza slammed the front door after kicking me out. I figured this means I won't be called or visited for a while. I told Jace, who was waiting for me outside the entrance, what had happened. "Good on you for standing up to Mom. We'll have some peace for a while now." I felt reassured by Jace's words, but what Eliza said last still bothered me. If we don't hear from her, I guess we don't have to visit for Christmas. A few days after thinking this, Jace got a message from Eliza. "She's asking if we'd like to come to a pizza party. She said she regrets what she said to Lisa and wants to apologize." Jace asked me what I thought, and I hesitated. Honestly, I can't imagine Eliza actually apologizing. "The olives on the pizza are from a friend's farm. They're really fragrant and delicious. Let's just go, and if Mom starts her snide remarks again, we'll just take the pizza and leave." I couldn't help but laugh at Jace's suggestion. That's when I remembered Jace has a real love for pizza. All right, let's go. I'm curious to see if Eliza will actually apologize. So we decided to visit my in-laws' home again on our next day off. As soon as we arrived, Eliza immediately apologized. "I'm sorry for my insensitive remarks the other day. Can you forgive me?" Eliza's deep apology made her seem like a different person. After that, Eliza and I chatted and laughed. This might be a first since we got married. "Liza, you sit here. If you want seconds, just let me know." Eliza had even portioned out several pieces of pizza for each of us. Apparently, she's a bit of a germaphobe, even when it comes to family. The fresh pizza emitted an appetizing aroma. I noticed Derek wasn't around as we sat down to eat. According to Eliza, he was working in the yard, and she said to eat without him. "Guess we'll start then." Jace quickly grabbed a slice and took a big bite. The moment Jace picked up the pizza, I smelled its wonderful aroma. Eliza urged us to eat the hot pizza quickly, so I took a slice. The colorful veggies on top looked delicious. Eager to enjoy the acclaimed olives, I took a careful bite. But the moment I bit into it, something fell off. The bacon was juicy, and the abundant veggies were delicious. But the olives and asparagus don't have any fragrance, I muttered in a low voice. But I couldn't complain about food that was prepared for us. "Jace, do you taste or smell the olives on your pizza?" I quietly asked Jace, making sure Eliza couldn't hear. He nodded, as if it were a given. I thought maybe my nose was stuffed because I was catching a cold, so I continued to eat. 20 minutes after we started eating, Derek comes back from the yard and takes his seat. I must have looked puzzled while examining the pizza toppings. He asked what was wrong. I looked at Derek and said, "I was just thinking. I don't smell any olives or asparagus." Then Eliza's voice comes from the kitchen. "It's on there. Trust me." The moment I hear Eliza's laughter, Derek slams my plate off the table. "Spit it out. How much did you eat?" The plate shatters loudly on the floor. Caught off guard by Derek's uncharacteristic yelling, I stammer, I ate a few slices." Jace asks what's going on, but Derek just keeps insisting that I spit it out. Eliza, on the other hand, doesn't come out of the kitchen even though Derek is shouting. Confused, I get up to head to the bathroom and feel incredibly dizzy. I rush to the toilet and throw up repeatedly. I start sweating profusely and collapse in the bathroom.
Call an ambulance, now!
I hear Derek instructing Jace, and it sounds like he's also yelling something at Eliza in the distance. Next thing I know, I'm lying in a hospital bed. Apparently, I fainted temporarily due to dehydration from vomiting so much.
You're going to be fine. We got you treated right away,
Jace says, looking almost in tears, as he explains what happened. Turns out, the pizza I ate contained red spider lily, a plant considered poisonous. While it's known for its beautiful flowers, the bulb resembles olives, and the stem looks like asparagus. To an untrained eye, it could easily be mistaken. Quick-thinking Derek had sent a portion of the pizza with Jace to be analyzed, revealing the presence of red spider lily. Is Jace okay? I was concerned as he had been eating silently.
We had all the pizzas checked, but...
Jace hesitates.
The only pizza that had red spider lily was yours, Lisa.
Chills run down my spine at this revelation, meaning someone intentionally fed me the poisonous plant. And the only person who could have done that was Eliza, who made the pizza herself. The doctor at the hospital says they need to report the food poisoning incident to the health department and asks for details. After hearing the situation, the doctor clearly thinks Eliza's behavior is suspicious and suggests contacting the police. Jace agrees, but says he needs time to process everything.
I can't think of her as my mother anymore. She's a criminal. What would have happened if Dad hadn't noticed?
I recall seeing news about people dying from consuming red spider lily. The thought that I could have been one of them terrifies me. First, I want to talk to Derek. I'm too scared to speak with Eliza right now. When we leave the hospital, we call Derek. He had left multiple calls and messages. However, what's even more terrifying is that there had been no communication from Eliza.
Are you okay? No matter how much I question Eliza, all she says is that she made a mistake, but I'm sure she did it on purpose.
Even the usually reserved Derek seemed agitated.
I've been holding back, but I can't take it anymore. She really is something.
Upon hearing about Eliza's shocking past from Derek, both Jace and I were stunned. Eliza lured me in, claiming she wanted to apologize, but she intended to harm me all along. Anger surged within both Jace and me, so we decided to confront Eliza directly. When we arrived at the parents-in-law's house, Eliza was sitting there, looking exhausted. She must have been scolded by Derek. Yet she didn't apologize or show any sign of concern upon seeing me. I never thought Derek would catch on. I was hoping to get rid of you, the audacious woman that you are. Jace snapped at Eliza's brazen attitude.
You've got to be kidding! You criminal!
Eliza seemed rattled being called a criminal by her own son. What do you mean? I did this for Jace's sake. If he stays with you, he'll never see his children. I'll find him a better partner, so just leave. Eliza didn't seem to feel any remorse for putting poisonous red spider lily in my food. So you intentionally mixed red spider lily. You wanted me to lose my life? Was this premeditated? Yes, I did it on purpose. Red spider lily grows nearby. It's easy to get. It's a shame you didn't eat more. You would have done more than just throw up. Jace lunged at Eliza in rage. I stopped Jace and pulled out the voice recorder I had in my chest pocket. Eliza, you've confessed to intentionally harming me, and it's all on this recorder. I'll be filing a damage report with the police. Eliza paled at the mention of the police. What? You'd send a family member to prison? Yes, and both Derek and Jace have agreed. Besides, you've done the same to Derek in the past. I relayed what I'd heard from Derek. There had been a major fight over a trivial matter before. The day after the big fight, Derek noticed that dinner's pizza had no smell of olives. As a former middle school teacher, he was always cautious about food poisoning and knew what could be toxic. Instantly, he thought of red spider lily. Derek faked a stomachache and didn't touch the pizza. After Eliza went to bed, he checked the trash can and found remnants of red spider lily, which terrified him. Because of his past experiences, he was able to quickly tell me to spit it out.
I can tolerate it if it's just me, but I can't allow harm to come to someone important to my son. We're getting divorced now.
Derek had been able to focus on work because of Eliza's support. She had helped raise Jace, so he couldn't easily bring himself to say divorce. He knew red spider lily had been mixed into the pizza, but never blamed Eliza before. But now, he seemed resolved to give up on Eliza. Eliza, who never thought divorce was on the table, was stunned.
How am I supposed to live now? I'll give you this house. We have some savings. They'll be your retirement fund once we distribute the property.
Derek continued talking about divorce, like he'd been planning it all along. Eliza barely had a moment to interject. While they were discussing the divorce, we decided to leave the house. We'll go to the police station with Jace. Please cooperate once the investigation starts, I said, and headed straight to the police station. The damage report was accepted, so an investigation into Eliza would soon begin. After that, Eliza started calling us almost daily.
Please, retract the damage report.
Her voice was full of exhaustion. Derek divorced her soon after and moved out. Between the police coming and Jace leaving, nasty rumors about Eliza had started in the neighborhood. Though she begged for help, I had no sympathy. I can't deal with any more persistent phone calls. Even if I change my phone number, there's nothing stopping them from just showing up at my house. Fed up with even having to deal with this, I finally said, Fine, I'll retract the damage report. But never show your face to us again. Even when a grandchild is born, you won't meet them. If you approach us, I'll consult the police. This seemed to shock Eliza, who had been eagerly awaiting a grandchild. However, she must have thought that a criminal record would be more damaging. Eliza ended up paying me settlement money, so I withdrew the damage report. She probably used the money from a property division she got during her divorce from Derek, so her savings must have taken a big hit. I heard from Derek that Eliza couldn't take the neighborhood gossip anymore, and eventually sold her house to move to a cheaper rental in Philadelphia. Apparently, she's been calling Derek, wanting to get back together, but he made it clear that's not happening. From here on out, Eliza is likely facing a lonely life on her own. As for Derek, he moved close to our house. I've grown to love Derek, who I can really count on. I'm sure that even if we have grandchildren in the future, Derek will be there to protect them.